everyone, welcome back to Generative AI for Beginners. I said I would be back. I am Pablo Lopez, cloud advocate in AI and a little bit of .NET, and we have Chris Nari. I believe you folks know him by this point. Say hi, Chris.
Hey folks, super excited to be back. My name is Chris Noring. As Pablo was saying, you might have seen me in a couple of videos already, hopefully. I'm a senior advocate at Microsoft, and just like Pablo, we do awesome things with AI and many other exciting technologies. Back to you, Pablo.
Thank you so much, Chris. And you know what? That's why it's really exciting with generative AI because I know you folks already seen a lot of text, right? So you folks saw me on lesson two talking about how you learn on LLMs, foundation models, the very basis on Azure AI, but now you folks are more advanced. I already saw a little bit of, chat applications, text applications. Let's go to images now. So what we're going to cover today? We're going to show image generation and how to use and build an image generation app. You see, just two things here, but I have to a little bit do some explaining because image generation is a little bit more complicated than what we usually saw a little bit on text, right? So let's build an image generation app. We're gonna prompt engineer for image generation and work with DALL-E and Midjourney. But not only those two, I'm gonna talk that a bit later. So let's start with a single question. How? Right? Because if you folks saw on the last episode, you folks may know that I can type and then it can, try to tokenize, right? Try to generate next token, next token, next token to finish. But images do not work like that, do they? They have pixels, they have RGB values, right? So it sounds a little bit confusing on how those can work when it sounds like magic, right? So, how to generate images with AI anyway? So, I'm gonna start talking about one thing. Remember what I said about foundation models? They are trained in a multimodal way. So they have like not only text, they have text, images, videos, music. They have a lot of things to train them. So one cool thing that happened is that they try to do OpenAI has Clip. So what is Clip? Clip is basically you get images and then they're gonna try to classify it. So here I have one of the tests I did with Clip. So it's Food 101, which is a small data set for testing. So you can see here we have a very fancy guacamole, by the way. Look how fancy it is. And you can see that it can rank perfectly on that. Of course, not always is going to, be exact. Remember, generative AI has a lot of statistics and can be a little stochastic. Sometimes get things a little bit wrong, but you can see that was a major advance. So, what a good thing about Clip is that it is a generative AI that can describe images very well. So it can get images and think, I believe this is that, and this is how it is, blah 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 blah. So you can see it can be very descriptive as well. Okay, Pablo, great. Now the generative AI can describe images. Cool. How you saying this is great? Because imagine the following. Remember when I talk about embeddings? Yeah, baby, embeddings. So what can it do? It can pick this text and generate embeddings, right? And then I know if I can do text, I can describe it. How can I do the reverse? So imagine that Clip, instead of, trying to describe something and generate something with like embeddings. And then I have like a neural network with, attention, diffusion, all the amazing things that we have with generative AI. It could actually, go back into the reverse process. So that's what it does. So Clip gives, a vibe, basically. I like to say a little bit Gen Z, right? So it picks the vibe of the image, say, this, I believe, should be the vibe. Then, when you type, you're gonna have something that you want to describe, right? For imagine that I want to describe a dog in the Eiffel Tower. So it will have like Eiffel Tower. It will have dog. It will have some, it will have something that you can think about, something you can imagine. So what it does is basically pick that, turn it into embeddings, and then Clip can judge, right? Clip can judge between the images that you have and the image that they generate. So that's how they trained this model here, this attention model, to create images by your text. Because we had a clip, so we could just always compare. That's amazing. So then they created this. So it's two parts basically: clip, which communicates and can judge and can say things, and I have like this diffusion model right here that can generate images via text. So that's how they created those amazing AI models that you know today with images. But okay, we have now so many, right? I just pick four here. DALL-E, which is from the OpenAI family, TPT family, you folks already know and love. Web Copilot that we had a lot of, DALL-E uses. So if you want to test DALL-E, the best way and the quickest way is to go to Web Copilot on Bing or Edge. We have Midjourney, which uses the interface of Discord servers. It is it can have several limits, and you can have now Meta AI, which is not available right now for most countries. But then we have Meta AI. Meta AI is basically the meta version of DALL-E. Of course, they can do a lot of things. They can talk, etc. So they have inside of it a generator model that can generate images. So and these are just four. We have so many to describe from, but these, as I know, are the most used. Of course, you can use Stable Diffusion. You can use your own computer to do that, as we talk on service versus model as well. It's the same things you can think about on here. So there you go. Now, like to generate images anyway, right? So you may think, I don't have many uses for that, Pablo. Why should I care about those? And here's the thing about it. It is a fast way to prototype anything. Imagine that you're doing an app and the design team is not ready. You can actually do a small logo just to test, and then try already with specifications to do and create things faster. So you can prototype, and then when the design team is ready, you just change and done. You already have your feature ready. Or if you are, a company, you're just you don't have budgets to contract them, so we can actually try to generate a lot of with AI, just do tweaks here and there, trying to understand a little bit more to help your UX to blow up. So these are some amazing things that we have with generative AI. It empowers people that don't have, sometimes the knowledge to create great things, and then try them to improve on those to make excellent concepts. Or you can try to prototype fast to deliver things on time. And not only that, you can use them to scale as well. So we have three amazing things that you can do with images with generative AI. So I'm gonna bring Chris. Chris, man, what do you have for me today?
Right. So what we're trying to achieve today is to make sure that you understand when you're supposed to use image generation, right? Because it sounds super cool. Even with text generation, you send something to an AI, you get some interesting response back. In the case with text versus text, that's fun, but even more fun is if you can take that text prompt, that prompting knowledge, send that into the AI, and out comes an image, right? And now you've already shown, Pablo, how we can get some really exciting images with space or landscape or what have you. All of that sounds super nice and neat, but what if we had a customer scenario? Because I can imagine that many of you are watching this, and maybe you are senior developers or some kind of enterprise developers, or maybe you're thinking about a startup, and it's like, how would I use image generation in a business scenario? So that's what we're trying to do here today. So what we're going to do is, me and Pablo, we're going to play the role of a customer. That's going to be me. And Pablo is going to be the developer who's going to interview the customer, namely me, and see what I want. And just for the sake of scenario, I'm going to play a property manager in London, right? So I'm going to be that customer. I want Pablo's help as an engineer to use image generation to improve my business. So, Pablo, I'm going to let you take it away from this point so you can start interviewing me so I get what I need.
Chris, hello. What do you need today?
Hey, Pablo, it's good to meet you today. It's going to be exciting to see if we can work on a project together so you can help improve my business. But today, I'm going to be a property manager. I'm based in London, so I'm going to need help with all my properties. to make sure that we can sell them or sublet them to whoever my customers might be. But one of the problems I struggle with, right, is to make sure that I can visualize things to people, because sometimes I have a photo, sometimes I have not, and I'm not even sure whether photos make sense in the evening light or the morning light. So I think I want some kind of AI service with image generation that can really help me, think like, is this what I want? Is this not what I want? So maybe you can help me based on the context of this being London. What do you think?
Absolutely, Chris. So we can actually generate some images to at least prototype what you see in your vision. That's a very good part of generative AI. Generative AI can do a lot of those things to help you. So, what kind of properties are you thinking about?
Yeah, so I usually have a lot of properties by water, so it would make total sense maybe to say, hey, let's go for London properties by water. I mean, of course, I'm going to have some high-rise buildings, some smaller buildings, but I'm just curious to see what at this point what this tool can do for me. So maybe you can show me based on that info.
Absolutely. So we can do a very basic prompt right here, which is properties in London by water or comma river here. So you can actually start to generate something. And that's a thing that I'm going to show you on Azure AI. So you can see that we are have settings, but first I want to show you that it's generate one image by prompt on Azure AI. I want to request more. You're gonna see later how to do that. But you can see right here you have some options. So you can copy prompt, generate the images of the same prompt, download, show code, or delete. Right here it shows that succeeded, which is great because now it's going to handle our image here. And while that shows, there we go. This is the image that is generated. But I want to show you as well, folks, some things on DALL-E settings because yes, we are not just limited. Imagine that you think, oh, this is too vivid. This is so dreamlike. How can I know? Be more realistic. You can change on prompt, sure, but you can change here on your style image. So it can be like natural. I want the quality of image in HD. And let's be with the classic, the square one. Okay, Chris, I generated some images here. An image. What do you think about this? What do you want to change something?
So looks pretty good, right? I mean, it's by the water, it kind of resembles the building, and I do sublet or sell. What I'm a bit curious about, if you can show this in a different light, maybe, because this looks like evening, and I probably want to show it in the morning light. I think, like it's always nice to have both, right? Because people want to see that nice lighting in the dark. But if I can have some reference image with morning light, I think that'd be great.
hmm By the morning light. So you see how I'm doing here, right? So basically, I'm trying to describe what Chris is feeling. So, and you may be asking, okay, but comparing to what I wrote on an agent, Pablo, what is the difference? So on images, usually you have to be more direct. You need to imagine being a director, right? So you have to imagine where you're putting things or trying to understand the lighting, the composition. You need to understand if you're going to use lenses, what kind of lenses are you using? Yes, that's important as well. So you have so many things you may think about when you try to write a prompt, but it's different, a lot different than you try to write, for instance, on text, because text is you're an AI agent, you do this, that. This is how you do it. No, here you're being more like a director. Imagine that you have a camera and you can try to put things here and there. You can change lighting, so have a lot more flexibility here. It doesn't need to, instruct what it needs to do. Like you gotta do this and that. Try to be more, take some liberties on here as well. So there you go. I added here by the morning light and see what it generates. And while it generates, I can show you as well some things. I can copy this prompt and I can generate new image. So you can see right here that I'm generating another image with the same prompt. And let's go to for easily download. But I want to show you more things. Very soon I'm going to show you the code. And there you go. It's already generated both of the images. There you go. This is properties in London, by the water, comma river, by the morning light. What do you think about those two images, Chris?
Yeah, I especially like the middle one. It actually looks like one of the properties that we are selling right now. So what I am curious about also, because we need to be able to feature this at various web pages, mobile apps and so on. So, are you able to show this in different resolutions? Like, could I have like a mini map, or no? The word I'm looking for is thumbnail. Like, could you make a thumbnail out of this, and maybe a screen resolution that's quite big? So, I'm kind of wondering about the flexibility here.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna tell you one thing before that. You notice that I already changed some of the settings here. Remember, I already changed it from Vivid to Natural and to HD. And I'll show you what the same prompt does with different properties. So this is with Vivid and Standard. Look how different it looks with HD and Natural. You can see that it's trying to be more a photo than trying to fit on the properties. So you need to make sure that you're fitting on the properties. And you can see right here, this looks much more natural, right? Doesn't look like a painting or something like that. Of course, the water maybe, but you can adjust on the prompt as always. So Chris is asking, can I generate different sizes? And for sure, let's go to a bigger size. Let's imagine that we need to a banner for a web page. So let's generate on a big size. And then let's generate, in a tiny, tiny bit, like 256 for 256, like very small. So yeah, you can actually right now I'm trying to generate more images and oh okay. I love when this happens. There we go. Okay, let's go to got that basically. Okay, so you can see right here that now I'm generating my banner. So the banner is generated. And may ask, Pablo, I didn't like this angle, right? It doesn't look what I'm thinking that this should be. Don't worry, you can try or to generate new image with the same prompt, or you can try to do a little bit. I'm gonna show you. Not gonna show. Pablo, I didn't like the image. What can I do? Let's pick this one. I don't like the sky. So what can we do here? We can try to mask or try to regenerate images. Pick the best ones and then try to see what you have. Remember, generative AI is a little bit, stochastic in how generate images, so sometimes not generate briefings. But look at that. That looks stunning.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I really like that image. So I was also thinking, like, a lot of the objects we sell they are like apartments, right? So wondering if you can be flexible to do like townhouses, because we have those too.
Oh, excellent. So then, folks, what you need to do is that properties in London, right? You can describe here inside of it. So let's go with properties in London, properties with townhouses. There you go. So you may ask, Pablo, this is not the most, sometimes correct way to describe. And yes, but remember, technically, you can just put more and more and more. Sometimes we take care of how we put the order of the words, but connectivity and sometimes even when you try to write the most grammatically correct, doesn't allows DALL-E to optimize by the prompt. Remember, you're trying here to optimize to DALL-E, not in a way that's right. So properties with townhouses sounds strange, but sometimes it's the best way because I understand that you can mix other properties with townhouses, right? We're trying to attach here the meaning of both. Yeah, classic generative AI. You need to learn some small tricks here. And let's talk about a little of the prompt. You can see here that it's our properties of townhouses. And you may ask, that doesn't seem that correct grammatically or stylistically. And that's true. But you may think one thing is that sometimes you need to prioritize the way that you word for DALL-E, not to make the most sense, but try to make like weights into the prompt. Imagine that you're not putting like a prompt, like a very defined sentence. It's more like trying to DALL-E to understand, okay, what is the weights you should put here and going here. So we have properties. Of course, it tries to put houses here, and that's the thing. Sometimes it'll hallucinate, but if it tries to hallucinate, okay, let's get rid of properties and then just do townhouses. And that's the thing. You need to tweak a little bit here and there to try to get the best image. But I'll be very honest, this one, stunning.
Right. So thank you for this one, Pablo. I think we're gonna close down on our customer scenario here, but I think it's pretty clear that you're able to deliver different kinds of light, different kind of buildings, maybe different angles, and exactly what you showed, right? I mean, you just need to adjust the prompt, and you can even change the size of the image for thumbnails for larger image. Ooh, that looks pretty good.
Ooh,
So
that's
yeah,
a
let's take it home, Pablo. Let's see if we can summarize this video. All right.
Absolutely. But before I summarize, I may ask, how can I implement this in all my applications? So if you have some doubts, take a look in our guide here, Building a Generative AI Application on Lesson 9, or take a look here. We have some documentation. So here's Python, but as always, you can select multiple things. Then you're gonna have your client, your API version, your endpoint, and your API key. Remember that you need to generate with prompt right there, and then you're gonna have n. N is number of images generated. As you folks see, I'm generating one per one, but you remember if we generate for DALL-E or Midjourney, you have multiple. So I can just put n equals number you desire, and then you can analyze image by this image URL. More things. Then how to generate Pablo? I love that. I want this exact thing. You can first click code, and then you can understand how to write this prompt, and then the JSON loads. But let's recap what we learned today. You understood how DALL-E and Midjourney works. You understood how many opportunities that we have, and you understand how apply those. You got here me and Chris talk a little bit how to do prompt engineering and how to put that in your code. Folks, that was a great lesson. Thank you so much for being with us on Gen AI for Beginners. And Chris, last words?
All right. So thank you so much, Pablo. And all of you out there, I hope this was an interesting lesson on how to work with images and especially how you can generate those. Exactly what Pablo said. A little bit of prompt engineering, a little bit of tweaking, and you can see vastly different results. So you saw how flexible that was. You saw how easy also it was to use some Python code, whatever kind of code to integrate that into your app. So definitely use the studio to get that help, but there are also some great tips on Microsoft Learn and Microsoft Docs pages, and also some sample repos out there, and definitely our own curriculum, Generative AI for beginners. So thank you for watching.
Thank you, folks. See you next class.